It is your friend and host, Lisa Mason Ziegler, coming to you here from the Gardener's Workshop Farm. And man, we have a great show lined up for you. I am a little in love with my favorite Cosmo above my head, y'all. This is Robenza. Meet him, the perfect Cosmo for fall. So if you're joining us today and from social media or on the app, please hit the share button and invite your friends to come and join us live here today, because you know we always give something away and you have to be here live to actually be able to do that. So I want to just share something that is totally exciting for me. We're doing something we have not done in years, literally, I think like 5 years, is I'm announcing a save the date, because I am going to be doing an in-person workshop. Y'all, it's going to be like Lisa's Day of Flower Farming, and it is going to be Saturday, November 18th of 2023 here in Newport News, Virginia, and it's exclusive in person. It will not be streamed. It will not be available for later, and there's only 35 seats available, right? We're going to have a morning of lectures and Q&As right up at the end of my street where we have all the tech stuff set up. Then we're going to walk down the street here to the farm, do a farm tour. We're going to do soil blocking together. I'm going to do it, and anybody that wants to try it. And then we are going to head to the brand new warehouse that we actually will have just moved in 10 days before for a tour, shopping at a discount, plus a big wrap-up Q&A. And so if you want to be notified when enrollment or registration opens this Tuesday morning, which is what, October 31st, at 8 a.m. is when registration opens. And we'll be sending out an email the minute that it opens. If you want to be on that, you got to get on our email list. And you can go right to thegardenersworkshop.com, and right at the bottom of every page, you can sign up for our newsletter. And that registration link will be emailed to everybody on that list October 31st, Halloween, at 8 a.m. Eastern Time in the morning, y'all. So super, I can't even tell you how excited I am about this, y'all. All right, so some housekeeping. We have new people every week, and we love having you here. So let's just review how it works. First off, please pay attention to your email and phone number that you entered for typos. We've had that happen, and we can't reach customers when we had shipping issues. So please be sure that that is correct. Remember that seed-only orders ship for free here in the app. That's kind of our little nugget over here. So if you only order seeds, it's free shipping. There is a cap on product shipping, which is $9.95. So all the products that you see here in the app, no matter how many you purchase, it's only $9.95 shipping. So that's a great savings. We do ship to all 50 of the United States. And remember, if you are joining us here from Facebook or Instagram, we welcome you, first off, but we just want you to know that there is a phone app, and it's a whole different experience, and we invite you to actually get that. It's free. Just search your phone app store for Gardener's Workshop, download it, and you can jump right back in here. It's just a really great experience. One of the things that you can do when you're in the app is to create a favorites list. When something comes up that you might be interested in but you're not sure, you can hit the little star in the upper right hand corner, and that creates that list for you. You'll find your list on the bottom of the bar on your app that says favorites. You can go there and always find them. Another really cool thing is you can watch the replay of previous shows. And you know when that is the most useful is you can go back to in-season times and go straight to the flowers. And the way you can do that is to bring up a video, go into the app, scroll through the videos, go back to the date, you know, whatever in the season you think that flower was blooming, bring up that video, and at the bottom it'll say shop all. Scroll through that until we get to the fresh flower seeds, hit it, and it'll jump you right to that part of the video so you can see the flowers up close and personal. And that is just a great option, right? Remember that every single week, y'all, we sell out of stuff during the live show, because we have to literally bring over digital stock from our big website over here to the actual app. So that happens. The reason, if you go to a product, it says out of stock, get notified. I recommend that you get notified. All that means is that you will get a little ding when we bring more stock over, if that's the case, or when it becomes available again. So that'll help you with that. And if you're seeing people post, y'all see I've got layers of sunflowers on me today. If you see people posting the sunflower emoji, that is people identifying themselves as our TGW family. And they joined that family by becoming one of our course students. And we just love it when people do that. So that's kind of the housekeeping, y'all. So that's a wrap up. So today's show, we're talking about air drying flowers. I'm going to be doing a soil blocking demonstration, and guess what, y'all? I'm planning on one of the giveaways at my in-person workshop is going to be some transplants, and that's what we're going to be starting. Anyway, you're going to see what's blooming here today, and of course we have a prize drawing for live viewers. And y'all, you know that we've added in the past weeks that I'll do a little Q&A at the end of the show. I'll take a few questions, and so if you want to ask a question, you can just type it in the comments, but start it off with @Lisa. That just alerts the girls to pull those questions together so that I can address some of those at the end of the show. So, and I would love to hear your questions about drying flowers. That would be totally awesome. And guess what I'm giving away today? Let me unbury it here. All right, so today I am giving away our drying rack. And y'all, this is like so super cool. It's metal. Can you see in the picture here that it hangs, it's like this, and you can hang it, and it's got hooks. And here is actually a picture of it in use here on the farm. What this really does is allows you to dry a lot of stuff in a really small space. So if you want to be entered to win this, just hit the buy button here in the app. But if you're on social media, you can participate by typing sold 101. That will enter you, and we will pull the winner of that at the end of the show. And so, friends, you know, more stuff just keeps happening and happening, y'all. My new book, the Cut Flower Handbook, that's coming out in February. We're just getting closer and closer. We are now preparing for the big pre-order launch later in November, and it's just all coming together, y'all. I'm so super excited. So if you want to get on the wait list, which I definitely recommend, because pre-orders get a special bonus, but we are only guaranteed a certain number of books on the first edition. So we have a limited amount of pre-orders is what I'm saying. And those people that are on the notification list for the book are those that will have first hit on that, right? All right. And then the other news flash is all other sources are still out of my book, Cool Flowers. We still have copies. If you need a copy, I would love to sign one for you. And this is, not only is fall a huge planting time, y'all, the next window of opportunity for everybody, regardless of where you live, is very early spring for your region. So you have opportunity to plant cool flowers, and I would love to sign a copy for you. So we have two actual great deals of the day. First off, all the seeds that are in stock here in the app are 20% off until Sunday at 8 a.m. What a deal, right? Because remember, if you only order seeds, then it's free shipping. But 20% off until 8 a.m. Sunday. And the other part of the deal of the day is we're offering our dried rack for 20% off until Sunday at 8 a.m. So, and you know, I'm talking about dried flowers today. That's just a great opportunity. So the drying rack is normally $26.95, and you're going to save about a little bit more than $5. It's $21.56. And I want to tell you that even though here in our big space, it's kind of nice to have something to actually hang many bunches in one 24-inch square space, y'all. It works really well. And that is only while supplies last and until Sunday at 8 a.m. So the tip of the day is that I recommend, particularly when people first start drying, is to start out with the easiest flowers to dry. And I'm gonna actually, you're gonna see these during our flower session, but Amobium, Status, Straw Flowers, and Gumpferina are 4 flowers that are natural dryers. They hold their color, and it's because of the structure of their actual petals. They are like born dry, just about, right? So those flowers that have higher moisture content in their petals, like zinnias just don't dry well. I mean, they just shrivel up to a big old hot mess of dry nothing, right? And that's because they have so much moisture. So what I have learned through this last season, actually 2 years now, we've been drying everything as a test. And basically there is just a couple of things that just don't do very good drying. But in general, 98% of the other things that we're drying here on our farm, all these seeds, the same seeds that I start and grow that we offer, dry beautifully. And you're gonna see some of those today. So let's just talk about the best way for a flower farmer that's a fresh flower farmer like I was for all these years to make the best use is what I learned from Ellen Frost, and that is that we don't grow flowers to dry. We just air dried all of our leftovers every single week. Whether we thought it was going to dry good or not, we dried it just to figure out what to dry. So we wanted to not invest a whole lot more labor and intensiveness. And so literally the flowers that we were gonna dry were already harvested, they were already stripped, and then we just hung them in the air to dry. So let's talk about the stage of harvest for drying. Sometimes it's a little bit different. Like for instance, I'm just even trying to think sunflowers, for instance. Sunflowers dry. We harvest them pretty tight, right? But we would wait until they opened before we actually took them out of water and hung them to dry. So you want them to be fully developed when you actually remove them from water and hang them to dry. And as I mentioned, the foliage should be stripped, but that's already the case for us because the foliage just makes a mess when it's dry and it just doesn't do very well, right? So we literally take the flowers that we use for these shows where the flowers are rubber banded like a normal bunch or a bouquet would be, and we actually add a second rubber band for strength and then just slide a hook through them to hang them up to dry. And the only thing that we don't hang to dry, and I'm going to show you a great example here in a minute why we hang to dry. The only thing that we don't hang to dry that I can think of is something that is hangy. What is that? Think of those draping amaranths like Love Lies Bleeding. You don't want to hang them upside down and make them pointy because then when you hold them upright dried, they'll be upright. You don't want them. You want them to drape. So we hang most flowers upside down, and this is why. So I have some really good examples. So yesterday, one of the things that Ellen Frost taught me about drying flowers, what they do is they use all their leftovers, they dry everything, and they spend the month of November making dried wreaths. And it's all from stuff that they would have otherwise just composted, right? And I've learned that so much from her. She doesn't want to invest any more labor because she's already paid for the flowers, right? So she's just trying to, that's called an added value product. When you make something out of something you're already doing to make it another way to sell, that's like a strawberry grower making jam. That's what you're doing. You're taking your fresh flowers, processing them to be dry, and then make other things. So the reason that we hang flowers to dry, I cut these yesterday. This is Gumpferina, and these have been out of water since yesterday. And they were sitting just like this. Well, we don't want them to dry draping like this, right? The reason that you hang them upside down is so that they will dry in their natural state, because when you take the water away from the flowers, they droop. Well, you don't want the flowers dried like that. So that's why we actually hang them upside down. So these white ones were the same way. They aren't quite as droopy, but hanging them upside down makes their stems straight and stiff, and then they'll be ready to do. I love actually harvesting little bunches like this, which took me no time to do. So they're ready to go. This is ready to be used on a dried wreath once they're actually dry. But look at this. This is the same. Let's turn them the same way. Up, and I just dropped a bunch right onto Tucker. So white fresh, white dried, white purple fresh, purple dried. I mean, Gumphrena is an excellent dried flower. So here is the whole caboodle yesterday that I went out in about 15 minutes and picked all of this Gumphrena. They'll be dried, and they're all little shorties, so they're ready to be I mean, you could even stuff them in a Christmas tree, y'all. So much to do. So where do you dry them? We hang ours here in our workshop. The best case is to hang them in a warm, dry, dark, well-ventilated place. Hanging them outdoors somewhere really doesn't usually work because of humidity, and also for moths getting in them and laying their larvae, which is really a problem. Once they're actually dry, you leave them hanging until they just feel dry to you, you know, and there's just no moisture left in them. And so if you need to take them down and store them, which I wouldn't even think of doing this, I mean, again, we're trying to make something out of something I was going to throw away. Wrapping them in tissue paper and putting them in boxes is what big dried flower people do. But I would say to you, I would leave them hanging till I'm ready to make whatever I'm going to do with them. To have them available to take to the fall markets alongside whatever your end of the year harvest is would be a huge cash cow, y'all. So you can, and you have to really be careful handling dried flowers because there's confetti all over our floor from pulling out the dried stuff today. So just be aware of that. I mean, people make arrangements, wreaths, crafts. I mean, I've seen lots of people making little nosegay kind of things and sticking them in Christmas trees. So there is a lot of opportunity, and we like taking what would have otherwise been composted, drying it quickly and easily, and then making it useful for the month of November. You know, when you're having those fall farmers markets, what a great cash push, right? All right, so now let's do some actual soil blocking. So, as I have mentioned, we are still in soil blocking mode. And before I go down and show you, I wanted just to show you some just being born Vegmo single feverfews. We just took these off the heat, and you can see about 50% of them are germinated. And so we are in high seed starting mode around here. And what I have say over and over again, when you're starting transplants, you have far more wiggle room of planting time windows than you do with direct seeding. So if you had a crop failure or you forgot, that's what we're about right now. Stuff that might not have germinated well. I dropped 2 trays. Or something that I just totally forgot about. We do that every single year. And so you still have time to do that. So let me show you how I actually make soil blocks here, right? Sorry, y'all. I'll try to do this without connecting you. All right. So this is, I always use a tub because you mix so much water with the soil, right? You can use a kitty litter box, works really, really well for this, by the way. And so I'm gonna go ahead and just make the blocks for one of the trays of transplants that I hope to be given away on our November 18th in-person workshop that we're gonna be opening registration for on Tuesday, October 31st. So let's make 60 blocks to go on here. So this is the soil blocker. The small one is the one I use. I'm actually going to use this for snapdragons today. And this soil is pretty moist. It's about 3 parts of the soil blocking mix, which we give you the recipe for that. It's always on our website. And this is the small blocker. And I use it by holding both hands on the stationary bar, and I push it through a couple of times to make sure that my blocks are firm and full. And then y'all, this is a potato masher. I find that to be the best tool for mixing the soil and then striking off the excess on the bottom. And we use flat bottomed trays with no drainage holes. That's what makes this the perfect home gardener and small grower method of seed starting, because you can start literally anywhere. So I'm just going to place the blocker on the tray, and I'm pulling up and pushing the plunger kind of at the same time. And there you go. It makes 20 perfect little blocks. So let's do that 2 more times. And if you ever have trouble getting the blocks to come out of the blocker, and I'm actually feeling like that may happen to me here. If you ever have that trouble, it's because the soil's not wet enough. I wet this earlier today, and you'd be surprised how quickly soil dries out. And I'm a measurer, y'all. I have an 8-cup measurer that I use, and I put 3 8-cup measures of dry soil mix to 1 8-cup measure of water. I usually have to add a little bit more water. This really depends on the moisture content of the mix that I'm using. And that really keeps you from guessing and spending too much time trying to figure out whether you're doing it right or wrong. So that quickly I just made, this is 60 of the 3/4 inch blocks, which is the perfect size to sow snapdragon seeds. Can you see those little snapdragon seeds rolling around? We use this aluminum seed pan because there's no static electricity. And when you have no static electricity and you put a little saliva on the end of that toothpick, you literally, the seed just jumps right onto the end of your toothpick there. And then I am just picking it up. It's kind of hard to do on camera, y'all. And I'm just firmly seating it on the surface of the block. And literally, I will just make all of these. So I'll do one more. I'm just jumping onto the toothpick, and then I am just firmly seating the seed right onto the surface. Now, I will do for these soil blocks as I would do for any method of seed starting. This tray will be placed onto a seedling heat mat. Because these are cool season hardy annuals, I'll put a cookie cooling rack on top of the heat mat and then put the tray on the rack to just cool it down just a little bit. Then I will actually lay wide weave burlap over the top of that. And then we will, sorry y'all, we're having a little stage change here. I'll lay the wide weave burlap down on top of the blocks, and what that does is traps the moisture and allows air to circulate and just aids in germination. So let's take a look first at how you can get started with soil blocking. So this is the soil blocking kit, the soil block maker kit. And it comes with 5 of those trays that I just did. So each tray holds 60 plants. It comes with these little wooden plant marks. It comes with one of the seed pans, the aluminum seed pans. It is also comes with our little toothpick dispenser, which helps with sowing seeds. It includes the small soil blocker, which makes 20 of the 3/4 inch blocks, as well as the nutrient mix to mix with your compost and peat moss that you have at home to make up to 3,000 of those little blocks. So it really makes economical blocking mix. Also included with this kit is your choice of either 3 packs of warm season seeds, and y'all, these are our customers' favorites: the Benary's Giants, the Coxcomb mix, and our basil mix. Or you can select the Cool Season Hardy Annuals, which is Indian Summer, Feverfew, and Rocket Snaps. And it's up to you. You can select that when you're checking out. But it also includes my Seed Starting Made Easy course, which is about 90 minutes long, of me walking you through from beginning to taking them to the garden, starting with soil blocks. But it also has a segment on direct sowing seeds out in the garden. And you get all of this for $78.95. And that just really gets you started and provides all the tools that you need to get started soil blocking. Now, you can always buy the individual tools, right? So you can get just the small block maker. This is $38.95. And into here in the app, you'll also find the large blocker. You can buy the set. I mean, so you can actually find all of those here in the app. But this is $38.95. And friends, I'll tell you that this is the size that I use about 95% of the time. And just does a great job, and it's super space savvy. Now, you can also purchase the nutrient mix separately. And so this nutrient mix is nothing more than rock phosphate powder and green sand. The point is, it's like sand on a beach, which is what you need for seed starting mix. You don't need anything that's coarse or chunky, and that is what we add to you add this to your compost and your peat moss at home. And this bag makes approximately 6 recipes, and each recipe makes about 500 of those little individual blocks. So it's a really great way to have everything you need ready on hand. And one thing that we highly recommend is that you sift the compost and the peat moss, because you just will not believe how many chunks. I was actually sifting before the show today and said, I just can't believe how many chunks. You don't think you're going to get anything, but by the time you're done, this sifter is almost completely covered in little pieces of sticks and chunks. This sifter, which is $19.95, fits perfectly on the top of a 5-gallon bucket. So you can dump whatever it is you're sifting in here, and instead, I love doing this, but your hands get really dirty if you don't wear a glove. Or you can just pop this on the top of the 5-gallon, and if you rock the bucket back and forth, it naturally sifts. And love this tool so very, very much. $19.95, and then that would be $9.95 shipping. So we do offer different size of, these are the foam reusable trays. Friends, these are not intended for you to dispose of them. We use them over and over, year after year. So this is the small size, which a 5-pack is $2.95, or a 25-pack is $12.95. Each one of these will hold either 8 of the 2-inch blocks or 40 of the 3/4-inch blocks. This is the large tray. The 5-pack is $3.95, or the 25-pack is $15.95. This holds either 3 sets of 20 for the 20 blocks, the 3/4-inch, and you can manipulate and get 12 of the 2-inch blocks on here, but you have to move some by hand. It's up to you. But I want to say I use all the size trays that we sell, because it's nice to fit the tray size to the number of blocks that you're actually making. So those are the reusable foam trays. Then we also offer that little seed pan that I was talking about. It's aluminum. This is actually like a lab pan. It's anti-static. It is $1.95, and friends, I'm telling you, it'll revolutionize your seed starting life if you've been using a plastic container. So those are $1.95. And I mentioned earlier about putting your seedlings onto a seedling heat mat, and this is it. Hand me those trays again, please. So this mat, which is like 9 by 19, will actually hold, let's try it out, y'all, right here while you're, so the number one thing we hear from people is that I never have enough heat mat or grow light space. Friends, I am here to tell you, 25 years in, I still don't have enough. You never will. So you have to come up with we call it the freight train. So on this 9 by 19 tray, you can fit how many? You can fit 3 of these big trays, so that is 3 times 60. So Bobo would start this today, and when she comes back to work 2 to 3 days later, these often are ready to come off, and she starts more seeds. So the heat mat is just one stop in the process. You don't start everything, you start what'll fit, and then when they come off, you go to and start more stuff. That's called the seed starting freight train that we have here on our farm. So this has got a built-in thermostat. You plug it in, and it heats 15 to 20 degrees warmer than the surrounding room temperature. And this is $38.95. And when it's in use, you just leave it plugged in 24/7. And when it's not in use, you just unplug it. So I also mentioned earlier that I like to use the wide weave burlap. Many of the seeds that we sow are actually sown right on the surface of the soil, and this helps to trap moisture but allow air. See how big the holes are? When I come in the morning, I just lay the burlap back, water, do whatever I have to do, and when I see the first signs of germination, sprouting to starting to happen, that's when I take the burlap off, because those seedlings will quickly pop through this hole, and you'll rip your seedlings out of the blocks once you go to take it off. This comes in a one piece that's 36 inches square approximately for $3.95, or you can get a 3-pack for $9.95. So this is the sticky traps to monitor. This is really to kind of help you see what's going on perhaps in your grow room. It'll also trap adult fungus gnats. It'll also trap flies and moths and things that might get in there. This is a 10-pack, which is $9.95, but you can get the 50-pack for $44.95. And it actually comes with little ties that you can actually hang them from your lights. I lay them in the trays. So this is the liquid organic fertilizer that I use. This is Neptune's Harvest. It's a seaweed fish, and I use this in my grow room and out in the field. We pour it on as a soil drench, or the plants love it when you use it as what I call a foliar feed. Literally, y'all, that just means pouring it on the foliage like on a sprinkler can, or put it in on a hose and sprayer. I follow the instructions that are on the label and really love it. And this is literally the only liquid fertilizer that we use here on the farm. And this is 16 ounces for $15.95. And y'all have heard me talk about my pouch and shears. Here is another farm pouch here. See how they're numbered? We number them. And this one isn't as worn as mine. This has a belt clip so that you can just slide it on your pocket. And these are the shears that I use for everything. I use them for the hydrangeas and sunflowers and all my flower harvesting, and I love how tiny they are. They just fit in my hand. And I find that I never lay them down outside, y'all, because guess what? I always have this pouch on my pocket, and that preserves them. You can get the shears and pouch kit for $60.90, and that is really a great, put it on your favorites list, and then tell somebody that you love to go in there and check out your favorites, right? And so remember, if you want to be entered to win the drying rack that we have today, you just hit the button now for the giveaway, and that'll enter you. Or if you're on social media, just type sold 101, and that will actually put you on the list. All right, so let's try to take this camera back up without knocking. Oh, I guess, y'all, we have a new wire today, and all right. Y'all just don't know. The button to turn the camera around is like this far from the end, the broadcast button. Not very good planning on their part. All right, so this doesn't want to, is there something that can be tightened somewhere or something? All right, so new bits and pieces here today, friends. Yeah, so it's just sinking. That's fine. We'll make this work, right? So we're back to my crowning glory of rubenza back here. All right, so I want to say again, if you're just joining us, save the date. Tuesday, October 31st at 8 a.m. enrollment opens for the first in-person workshop that I have done in like 5 years. And I am so stoked. If y'all have ever been here to an open farm or anything, I just love being in person with people. So you need to get on our email list so that you get the 8 a.m. email October 31st, 8 a.m. Eastern time. The email's going out. There's only 35 seats available. It's going to be a fun packed day. It's going to start at the end of my road in my church's chapel, where we have all the technology to do lectures and PowerPoints. Then we're going to have lunch there. Then we're going to walk down here to the farm, tour. We're going to do hands-on soil blocking together, including the Swift blocker. And then everybody's going to get in their car and drive up to the warehouse that's 4 miles away. We're going to tour our brand new warehouse, and then you can shop with the discount, of course. And then we're going to have our wrap-up Q&A. It is going to be a fun, wonderful day, y'all. So I hope that if that's something that if you're in our neck of the woods that you can take advantage of, I would love to welcome and spend the day with you. All right. So whenever we start off talking about seeds, we always talk about our desiccant packs. These are the moisture absorbent patches that actually really are the piece of the ingredient that keeps any moisture from getting to your seeds. Moisture and heat are what kill the vitality of seeds. You can get a 2-pack for $2.95 or a 10-pack for $9.95. And I will tell you, you need to have these on hand. This is how we pop seeds into the freezer. And there's actually a blog you can actually check out, Store Seeds Longer, over at thegardenersworkshop.com, that has the actual steps. So I'm going to show you those 4 really easy to dry plants that I mentioned earlier. And the first one up is Amobium, which also, and I will, the first 2, well, actually, I'll tell you by each one. This is a cool flower. We are got this planted out in our garden now. This is Amobium. It's like a little miniature straw flower. Y'all, I love this stuff. I love it fresh. It is an incredible bouquet building ingredient. And it is so tall. I mean, this is not even how tall it was. We've whacked it, right? So Amobium, because it's papery like straw flowers, it is so easy to dry, and this would be awesome. A whole wreath out of this, little short packets wrapped up around a grapevine wreath. Y'all think about it, right? So this is Amobium, and actually we learned about that from Ellen Frost too, our instructor, and she taught us all about that. And then look at this, is yet another super easy, beautiful to dry. This is the Status Mix. You can also find all the individual colors here in the app, and I grow them all, y'all. I grow them all separately. And let me see if I can name these for you so you can, trying to give me a hand. Obviously that's yellow. This is rose, this is purple, and this is the blue pastel. And we just absolutely love Status Fresh is a bouquet saver. I mean, those pops of color. And then we're just doing the white Gumphrina. We have the fresh. So Gumphrina is just like the Status and the straw flowers. This is how it looks fresh, and then here it is dry. It's not still white, but it is. Is this not the most in-style color going around right now, right? So this is the white Gumphrina, which is great for bouquets fresh. I mean, I hope y'all are getting the gist of this. We grow this stuff to sell it fresh because I don't want to have to do any more steps, right? But if there are leftovers, which there should always be a little bit left over, you don't ever want to sell out, you can dry it, right? And then look at the Gumphrina purple. Here it is fresh, awesome for bouquets, fresh, and then here it is dried. It doesn't look a whole lot different. So Gumphrina is another just really great to dry. Look at this one. This is the straw flower mix. And these guys are really, really beautiful. And then I have some dried ones here. And I'm going to actually try to, here we go. So these are all dried, and this is them fresh. And so these keep their actual real color, right? And let me show you also this little card. This card is over a year old, y'all. Look at this. This is the yellow straw flower. That's how they hold their color. Is that not amazing? That is really, really, really cool. All right, so now, and I'm not even going to take it down because I think you can see it beautiful. Up next is the Cosmo Rubenza. This is my all-time favorite fall Cosmo. And the reason I love it so much, I'm just looking for one. I'll pop it off and show it to you. So this actually blooms this really dark color, but then it starts to fade like a pair of stone-washed blue jeans. Totally love, and it's got nice, really big blooms. And friends, I think I have the prettiest bunch of sunflowers to show you that we've had in a really long time. This is the Pro Cut Mix. It has all the colors in here. And I mean, is this not, I mean, you think you could sell this at a farmer's market this time of the year? Of course, they should not be this open. This is how they should, you might have one open and the rest of them in the stages of opening. But there are just, look at this. How beautiful are these? So we sell all the colors individually, which you can find here in the app. Remember, y'all, seeds are 20% off. Find them in the app as a mix. We make this mix ourselves, Pro Cut Mix, or you can buy all the colors separately. And, you know, y'all, this is just a great end of the season cash crop. And we are still harvesting some of our Texas plumes. They're getting smaller and smaller. It's cold and the days are getting shorter. But look at the colors. This color variety is just really, really beautiful. And I mentioned earlier, and I'm just giving more warnings, we are limited in the amount of seeds we have of Texas plume. So we currently offer a 3-pack of the jumbos, kind of like as a grower's bunch, and that is not gonna last much longer. So if you're a grower and you need Texas plumes, you need to grab those at the discount, not to mention 20% off, y'all. All right, so what are we gonna be harvesting for Thanksgiving? We are gonna be doing these cut flower kales, which I started midsummer, and then we use these as filler, lots of tablescaping. This is the white. How pretty is that? And then this is the rose. And as I've mentioned before, they start coloring up once they get a little cold. We still haven't had frost. Once they get snapped a little bit, the color gets more intense and really, really beautiful. And that is, but you have to keep thinking to yourself, am I gonna have other stuff to use with those? That's where the strategy starts coming in as a flower farmer. And y'all, I had to cut this because we're coming to the end, right? This is amaranth, is it Mira? Myra. M-I-R-A, y'all. And I had Bobo actually cut the stumps. You can see these because I have to decorate my golf cart for trunk or treat. And we're gonna use this. But look at these blooms. Look at how there's variegated colors. Isn't this gonna be fun? They really hold up, and this is just the perfect size blooms. And I would figure out how to use this on a tablescape easily. Super duper cool. Now, we brought this one in, it's too old, and Kelly can attest, there was pollen all over the tabletop. This is the amaranth velvet curtains, and y'all, this color is pollen coming off of this. You can't do this to your customers. You either need to let it go through its whole pollen shed, then cut them, or get them before they do this. But at a distance, these look kind of pretty, don't they? This is velvet curtains, which is a great fall color. And here is the, can I have another piece of paper too, Kelly? Thank you. Pumpkin on a stick. The biggest challenge with these is they have thorns. So you have to figure that out. I think I got it, thank you. Look at these. Look how cool these are. These are actually eggplants, and we plant them midsummer, and we use them green, but we love them when they're orange, y'all. They look just like little pumpkins. And people love, for supermarkets, bouquets, at farmers markets. I mean, everybody just loves these. I mean, and you can pluck these off and put them in baskets and stuff. Great tablescaping for those, thank you. And then we are coming to the end of our rooster peppers. And these are not the greatest. These are kind of, because peppers like it hot, y'all, right? But look at that green foliage around those green fruits. What great filler for bouquets. And this is what these guys look like dried. The person that saved this seed and got it to many of us that are growing it, because we actually have a grower grow this seed for us now, said that they just make wreaths all November and December out of these dried peppers. All right, so basil. Bobo wanted me to say to y'all again, if y'all don't know Bobo has worked with us here for about 14 years. She's a big flower arranger. She's one of the head harvesters. She says this is her favorite basil now. It's got super long stems. It's really sturdy. It holds up better than any other basil, she said. And that's one bloom, y'all. That's one head. It's just really different, but it's great for fall. And she did find one last stem of purple ruffles. And this, again, would be a great fall one. I wouldn't grow this in the summer, but it's great in the fall. And, you know, you just have to, in the middle of summer when you're overheated and exhausted, you have to stop and think, all right, what do I have to start now for fall? You have to step aside from the heat and the summer and think ahead. So this is ageratum, and I had her cut this because this is the stage that I would harvest this in. Y'all usually see it when it's really fuzzy like this, but this is how it is when I cut it. See how it's just showing a little bit of color? It continues to develop, y'all. Blue ageratum is one of the most underappreciated crops. If it's small, put 2 or 3 together. That color is unparalleled by any other flower. This is silver dollar eucalyptus. Has these nice big leaves. And I will say to you, you know, the reason there is no eucalyptus seed ever available anymore is the wildfires in Australia, which is where all eucalyptus seed comes from. And the only way you'll get seed from us, most likely, is to get on the wait list. Because what happens, we get some seed in, not a lot, the wait list is notified, and then it gets sold out before we get to another show. Get on the wait list if there is any. This one is actually available. Yeah. So you can get silver dollar right now. It's 20% off, y'all. Get the seed. And then I start that in early January. And this seed is not available right now. Hopefully soon. Y'all, this is parvula gum eucalyptus. Totally love this stuff. I love how small the leaf is. I love that it's super tall. And it's just really useful. And I think that I'm actually going to make myself a eucalyptus wreath, right, to go on my door. And this is just a perfect one to do that with. All right, so let's do a little hairy ball comparison. So this is how Gumpacarpus physocarpus hairy balls comes out of the field. It's got all this foliage and stuff on it, and that's great, but that's not very useful as a cut flower. So this is what it looks like after I spend a minute or two stripping. This is what it's all about, y'all. It's about the balls. It's about the seed pods. And I, in fact, love it when it's small like this. People do not want balls that look like that, y'all. That's an old one. When they start to get that brownish color, it's when they're small-ish and green and vibrant that they're really useful. We never had enough hairy balls when we sold to supermarkets. They absolutely loved it. So this is Gumpacarpus physocarpus hairy balls, and this is a tropic. It is a non-native. It is a monarch plant, and so it has a lot of interesting ways to actually use it. And then look at this for fall foliage. This is hibiscus mahogany splendor. It looks like a Japanese maple or even maybe cannabis, but this is an excellent foliage. This is a real cash cow also in the florist department. Super tall, very productive. Really love that one.
Hyacinth bean?
Oh, hyacinth bean. All right, so we finally got a few little beans here. I'm going to actually take them out of their vase, I think, so I don't have to disrupt that guy. All right, so hyacinth bean is actually a vine that I actually call Jack and the Beanstalk. That's how much it grows. Like heat of summer, 2 feet a day is not unusual. but it's an annual, and it's not a strong reseeder, so don't be afraid of it. But it gets this plume with these sweet pea looking blooms that only last like a day or so. I mean, for an event, you could do it, but we don't ever rely on it. It's these beans that come after the bloom. These will get about this big. And tablescaping, laying on tables, in bouquets. This is an amazing ornamental crop to grow, and that is hyacinth bean vine that Susie has so strategically placed here in our display that just is beautiful. All right, so the other one that we grow is Love in a Puff. I'm going to pull a puff off to show you guys. So this is another vine, and it is this little puff, which is what comes after. The little flower that's on it is fairly insignificant. You barely even notice it, right? But it's these green puffs. This vine hydrates beautifully. We've had some for 2 weeks last here in the shop in a vase. The struggle is it's such a vicious, vigorous grower. You have to really train it and keep it edited to be able to harvest long stems that aren't tangled. But it's worth it if you sell to event people, or you do events, or you have a florist that loves that kind of stuff. Love in a Puff is just absolutely amazing. We really love it on chandeliers and all that kind of stuff. All right, y'all, my favorites. These little spinning gourds. Look at these little guys. This is one that has started to dry. It's faded. I went out and harvested this morning. This is how they come off the vine fresh. Tablescape gold, y'all. Little wooden bowls of these. I mean, people just can't stop handling them. They absolutely love them. But here's the funnest thing, and Susie made some for me this morning. They dry just like birdhouse gourds do. Drill a hole in the top of this and paint it for Christmas ornaments. We're making little white ghosts to like decorate my golf cart for trunk or treat. And totally fun. So these are the spinning gourds, which is another vine. They grow pretty quick too. They go from seed to fruit in like 60 days, I think. You can see it on the seed pack, but you definitely need to add that to your lineup next fall. Become the place that people come to for cool, different, awesome fall decorations, right? And that's going to lead them up to come back in November and buy your dried wreaths, right? And wreaths don't have to be complicated. There are so many tutorials online. And we have a winner, y'all. I love giving stuff away. And I so hope you're here. How do you say that name? Verna Barana, if you are here. Sorry if I killed your name. VERANA If you are here, give us a big shout out, because we are going to send you the drying rack as our gift, because you are the winner of our drawing. So please give us a big old shout out. All right, so congrats, and you need to email info@thegardenersworkshop.com to claim your gift. You need to shout out to us, and then you'll send your mailing information to info@thegardenersworkshop.com. And I can't wait. I love giving stuff away, y'all. So remember that over on our big website. She's here. Congratulations. So totally stoked. Loves, and you're going to love this thing. And I think that I've thought of hanging other things on this too, but I won't share what those are. We'll see what you discover about it. So remember, this is also the deal of the day, 20% off. It's $21 and something, I think, that you can get until 8 a.m. on Sunday, or until supplies run out. So remember, over on our big website, we have tons of resources, y'all. Videos, blogs, both of our podcasts, Seed Talk with Lisa and Lane, Field and Garden, where I am. And that's kind of home base where you'll find everything. And remember that we host Ask a Flower Farmer on Wednesdays over on Instagram at 12:30. This coming week, I'm actually the host, so you can hit me up with some questions over there. And remember to meet me back here next Friday for our next live show. And I'll say one more time before I do some Q&As, to remember to save the date. Tuesday, October 31st at 8 a.m. is when registration opens for my first in-person workshop for the day here in Newport News, Virginia, opens. And if you want to get notified so you can get on board, we only have 35 seats. And so that's all we can take. And get on our email list. It's an exclusive in-person lectures, Q&As, lunch, walk down to the farm, hands-on demonstrations, see my cool flowers, hear about my native border, see my equipment. And then we'll do hands-on soil blocking together with the handheld tools as well as the commercial line of Swift blockers. Then we're all going to jump in our vehicles and run 4 miles to my brand new warehouse, y'all. Y'all get to get in it and see it. We'll give you a little tour, as well as have a wrap-up Q&A, and of course, y'all can shop while you're there with a special discount. With no shipping, right? Because you get to cash and carry. So friends, stick around and really love it. All right, so let's look at some questions. Do the Gumphrena fall apart after they're dry? I have little bits of them all over the ground where they've grown. That's because they've aged out. So that is, you can't, I can remember this so vividly, y'all. I can remember my mother-in-law telling me about canning beans. She said, Lisa, you don't can old beans. That doesn't make them any better. You can fresh, pristine stuff. It's the same thing with dried. You're not taking old, worn out flowers and drying them. And that's when they start to dry, they're old. They're past their prime. So you need to harvest earlier. You need to harvest them at the proper harvesting stage and then dry them. Okay, so that'll fix that problem. Although all dried flowers do litter a little bit, but not like, I know exactly what you're talking about, and that's because they're old. My direct seeded cool flowers sown 3 weeks ago have not sprouted. Should I reseed now in the same area to ensure I have something to harvest in spring, or wait and start in early spring? I feel your pain, exactly. So why have they not sprouted is the first question, and several things pop into my mind. Is it too hot still? Did you cover them or not cover them with soil according to what they actually required? Are you watering them every day? Because ours have already popped. That's what led me to say I'll do the in-person. Once I confirm my direct seeded stuff, y'all, 25 years in and I'm still a nervous wreck over direct seeding stuff, right? So I would say, if you have real questions, was the seed new, viable? Did you cover it or not cover it properly? Did you water? And is it not too hot? Those are all the things that I would consider. And if you question any of those, I would redo it. And while you still have time to. So, and maybe do it in a different spot. And why not plant transplants where you first direct sown? That way, if it's hard. It's hard to make a decision, but I feel your pain completely. We have had our first frost. We will have our first frost next week, but then the temps rise again. Are there any cool flowers you would still consider good to plant at this point? Sure, anything that's transplantable. So what we have to remember is the reason you can't really direct seed so much later in the season is seeds need some warmth to break dormancy and sprout. So once it gets cold, they really can't do that out in the garden, right? So that's what limits you. Transplants, on the other hand, if you get the beds ready and prepared, so that you can start the seeds and walk out to a bed that's ready to roll, plug in your transplants, and then hoop and cover them, you buy yourself a month backwards. We literally here in 7B, 8A, literally transplant just about all through the winter because we always have these scraggling trays that got started late. I have even planted in January, y'all. So yes, anything that you can transplant. We only direct seed a handful of stuff that really is difficult to start inside. Anytime I have a choice, we always start it indoors. So yes, get busy and start transplants. You can still do it. Zone 9B, we never drop below 28 degrees. The ground never freezes, and our last frost date is February 5th. Does that mean I can transplant out cool flowers anytime? Thank you for telling me what kind of your cycle is, because I write about this in my new book, the Cut Flower Handbook, is that your zone 9, perhaps has the widest window of opportunity to plant cool flowers, but it's not as clear cut exactly when that time is. You have to do a little trial and error. So knowing that you do get cold, or that you do have a frost date of February 5th, so you are probably, what I would say, that you can fall plant all the cool flowers, and I would prefer to plant them in the fall if you actually have cool temperatures. You know, if it's 60 degrees or lower in the fall now, I would definitely plant now. The reason you want to get them in the ground now instead of waiting 6 to 8 weeks before your very unusual last frost date, that's your last frost date. When's your first frost date? That's the interesting thing. That's what I'd really love to know. If you're still on here, 9B, Jessie, if she pops on and writes that in, please bring it up to that one. So the problem with people in warmer regions planting in very early spring, which is like 6 to 8 weeks before your last frost date, is that usually does not give you enough time to actually allow your plants to get established and to grow. December 1st. So I would say to you, your aim is to plant 6 to 8 weeks before that December frost date, first frost. And then you can certainly experiment, do some trial and error, but you want those plants to have the longest cool time to get well established so they can hit the ground running when spring pops for you, which I would guess is in late February and in March. And we would love to hear back from you about how that goes. But I think you have the widest opportunity, but you have to figure out your opportunity based on your unique timeline. All right, do you expect to get in any more Monarda lambada seeds? I'm on the notification list. Yes, we have had Monarda grown for us, and they're in the harvesting stage now. We never know how much that's going to be. But yes, and so they're germ testing it, drying it, doing all the things they have to do to it. So you will be the first to know about it. And we hope to have a lot, but we'll see, right? All right, something ate my Pro Cut White. Is there something about white flowers that bugs like? Yes. So all light colored flowers, whether they're pale yellow and white, cream, ivory, all the luscious colors, blush, those light colors, bugs are just attracted to. Did you notice that the sticky traps are yellow? They just like those light colors. So for me, I typically don't grow the whites during the height of the summer when our bug pressure is the highest. We tend to grow white Pro Cuts. I do the early bird sunflower thing, right? Where you start really early. If you don't know about that, you can go to my YouTube channel and go back to March and watch any of my seed starting Saturdays, and that's what we're doing. White is perfect. The pest pressure is non-existent usually at that time, and it goes with all your spring flowers. And then I would starting them again in the fall. So, but yes, and you definitely need to harvest them really tight for that reason. I'm in 8A, 7B. When do I start the crane kale flowers? I think so the way you figure out when to start that is, because I don't memorize anything, y'all, that I can look up anymore, right? So I don't know the date. But you can look online, and it'll tell you how many days from seed to maturity. And then you apply that, when do you want to harvest it? Count back that number of days, and then I'd give myself 2 to 4 weeks plus on that time frame, and that tells you. I would guess it was July. I'm not sure. Because we start them inside and grow them for a month or so before we plant them outside in the garden. I planted poppy seeds last week based on projected first frost. We are having record-breaking heat this year. Should I reseed? So, everybody, we all are having the same thing, unpredictable weather. That's just the norm now. We need to stop saying it's unpredictable. It is predictable that we don't know what's going to happen. So our poppies popped. We just confirmed it yesterday, our giant poppy pods. So if they've been down for more than 30 days and they haven't germinated, you might consider doing that. Remember, they do not get covered with soil. You need to sow them heavily, water routinely, and get them to pop. And, you know, you just don't ever know. And that's the joy of being a farmer, y'all. We just have to take risks. And if it's something, you know, we didn't grow Iceland poppies as a big production farm because they're just too early. There's not enough to go with them, and they don't last long enough, right? But if it's an important crop to you, sow it again. And I'll wrap it up with this last question. Which will bloom the earliest, Amobium or white straw flowers? Well, because we fall plant Amobium, because it's winter hardy here, and I can't fall plant straw flowers. I'm right on the edge of where it's winter hardy, and I lose them most years, so we don't even do it. I would have to say Amobium. And so white straw flowers, which if you're doing events and stuff, those are really important crops. And we definitely plant our straw flowers 8 weeks before our last spring frost in our effort to get them as early as possible. But I can promise you, Amobium bloom. We do fall and very early spring Amobium to stretch it out. It does great. All right, friends. Well, what a great show. Congratulations to our winner. Remember, get on the email list so you'll be notified when the enrollment in my in-person workshop opens 10:31 at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. It's only 35 seats, and I would love to spend the day with you, Tucker, and it'll just be a really fun, warm, fuzzy day, I think. So we're looking, rain or shine, right, or snow. We won't have snow, I don't think. But anyway, I shouldn't have said that, right? That's right, knock on wood. So, friends, thanks for a great show. Until we meet again, thanks, Jesse. Ciao.